Alright, so it is the April 10th, 2018. I'm still in Oroville, and it is like 2 o'clock maybe p.m. So I'm walking over here. This is kind of similar to where I was when I made those other videos by the water. I just chose to, it's kind of like same road, but I wanted something different in the background. That's kind of like a boating dock where you get off, you take your boat out there. So this is kind of a little different. I just saw it. It's kind of fenced in. There's some water over there. It's a cloudy day. It's starting to rain. So I wanted to make, so I just did my taxes. Finally got them done for my 2017 taxes. And I wanted to make a video before I make another video, another one. So this is 38, video drama blog 38. It's not a real super drama blog. So hold on, let me read this sign. It says, all dogs. Notice this area is closed to dog training and field trial, off-road vehicles, prohibited under laws, blade, ammo. I wonder if people can walk through there. Looks open. I don't know. So it looks like you could walk there. I'm gonna lock up my car and walk there. Alright, so So I wanted to talk about my life, right? Just kind of give an overview of time, of I guess I don't normally walk off road stuff, so I'm kind of worried to get busted, but it looks like you could walk through. Alright, so I was born in what do you call it? I was born in Gilroy, California. I'm the second son of Vera and Lucinda Martinez, and my grandparents are from Mexico and Texas. Samuel, Vera, and Epifania Vera are, I think they're from Texas. When I asked my grandma, she said Texas, so I don't know if they were there forever or if they moved there, or if it was from Mexico and then turned to Texas. You know, they were born around 1920 maybe, 1910, 1920, probably 30 at the latest. So that's nice. And then my mom's parents, my dad's parents, Samuel, he's kind of light, he was a light-skinned Mexican, kind of tall, so he must have had a lot of Spaniard in him, but he only spoke Spanish, and he used to always sell stuff, like the pictures that we have when he was younger, he was always like in a suit, you know, they had a station wagon or van, so he was able to make money during his lifetime and be a businessman pretty much. So I'm not sure what kind of family he came from, but while he was in America, he did pretty good. You know, they had a house, and a nice house, and it was always kept up, and so and my grandma, she was like a housewife, you know, kind of like what you see in the old days. Kind of she was Mexican, but she was, you know, she would sew. They always had sewing. She had sewing stuff, and she was, you know, she'd cook for people when they'd come in the house. They always played bingo, loteria. So they like gambling, and I guess, you know, my grandpa, he wasn't a drunk or nothing, but he did party, you know, Mexican stuff. But I guess they had a surplus store when they were younger. When my parents were young, my dad was young. They had 9 children, and a lot of that side was artists. I guess my grandma had a lot of family that were artists. So her brothers and sisters, I think, or something, somebody was an artist on that side of the family. On her side, she would say. So out of her 9 kids, like 4 of them ended up becoming, you know, artists, painters, and drawers. Manuel was the oldest one. All of them, I think, kind of drew, but so they were all thinkers. They all like gambling too. They all like money. Except my dad, he was never a gambler or nothing. So he was a little different than most of the other family members. But my uncle Manuel, I think the 3rd boy, 2nd boy maybe. Man, I don't know if I should go all the way over there. Let's just go back over here. So he, you know, believes that we were Native American. I'm not sure what tribe, but whatever, from Texas. And I kind of believe so too, because my grandma looks like Native American. So that's what I believe. And I think during their days, they didn't, you know, it was not cool to be Native American or speak Spanish. So I think her hesitancy for even saying, because I asked her, she said Texas, and she would not say Mexico. So I don't know if that was because she, you know, I guess during her days you would get in trouble for speaking Spanish in school. So I don't know. So yeah, so my grandpa, they ended up, when we were growing up, the grandkids, they would always like sell stuff at the flea market in San Jose and Gilroy and all that area. And so we'd always go with them and be able to like help out or go, you know, it was really cool. And so my parents would give us money, and so we'd go, you know, buy tapes or toys, or so we had a pretty cool upbringing with my grandparents. They were really cool, and my grandma was always cool. They only spoke Spanish, but me as the 2nd kid, like I guess my brother would be babysitted by them, and so he learned Spanish growing up more than I did. He was 4 years older than I, and so I don't know. I remember just being around him a lot. He would babysit us or whatever, and I don't know. I got by. I don't know. My cousins were there too, so I don't know. But yeah, it was cool. My grandparents were really loving. They were really cool. My grandpa Samuel was a very kind-hearted man. He ended up getting diabetes, and he had to cut off he got gangrene on one of his toes, and they ended up cutting off one of his legs and the other one. So it was, but he was a very proud man. His kids ended up being a bunch of brats, but that could have been just the environment in Gilroy and just their time and whatever, who knows. So, but yeah, that's where the art side is really strong on that side of the family. And then my dad's mom's side, Jose and Benita Martinez, Moctezuma even, my grandma. So she was half Chinese and half Aztec. And her last name was Moctezuma. There's a couple of ideas of what their last name was, or Yang, or maybe not, who knows. So, but she had 15 children alive that lived. She had a few stillborns, I guess. I don't know. During those days, it was the old days, so. There was an uncle, or my mom's older brother, was named Daniel, and he had passed away. He got a fever and passed away, so she named me after her uncle, or her brother, that didn't live past, being a baby. So they were different. He liked to drink a lot and go. They were farm workers. They worked in the farm, in the fields. So my mom and her family would work in the fields. And what's funny is they met in Texas. Both my grandparents. My dad's side, I guess they let them stay in one of their houses, or in a room or something, for a little while before they came to California. So that's a story I know. So I don't know if my mom and dad were babies at the time, or they hadn't been born, but so my mom's side, they swam across the border, literally, when they had a few kids already. So and then they moved to California. Everybody moved to California to work in the fields, to do the field stuff in Gilroy, California. It's garlic capital, or garlic, they make garlic. They've been known as the garlic capital for a lot of years. Every time I tell somebody over here up north about Gilroy or where I'm from, they're all, oh, garlic. So I guess that's what it's known for. So what else? So 15 brothers and sisters on my mom's side, and they're all kind of short and kind of look like little Indians, Chinese Indians or something, I don't know. But they were a very loving family. All my cousins and stuff, we all grew up together, a lot of us, and they're a very tight-knit family. And they hung out with the Veras too, so there was a couple marriages between the families. So my parents met and they found love and had kids, had us, and they moved. So grew up in, and they're fighters. The Martinezes they're pretty tough. Like they like to get rowdy and drink. So that was when they were younger, and then they're all lowriders. My dad used to always have lowriders, and so him and the Martinezes, they got along good, They always had their cars and stuff like that, and hydraulics and all that stuff. So we grew up like that, and so I was in Gilroy till I was 3, and we had an apartment. We were in an apartment complex in Gilroy. I don't know what road that was, Leavesy. I don't know what road that was. It was, I think, by the welfare office or something. I don't know. So we were there, and I think later, one of my other family members, my aunt, my tia, she was living there. I remember going visiting over there, and they were the apartment underneath us, where we used to live. So I don't think we lived there at the same time, but they ended up being there too after. So my parents got a chance to buy a house or pay rent to own in San Martin, because they ended up making some. My dad was making some money. Being a gangster. No, I'm just kidding. Being a lowrider or something. So we ended up having a house. So they fixed it up. It was like a fixer-upper, 2-bedroom. They like made the garage into a house, or into a living room, second living room, and so they put a lot of time and effort into fixing up that house and stuff. And so they always hang out. All the family would always come over, and we had a backyard. We had always had animals like chickens and dogs and roosters and cats, and different times. And then we had ducks and geese one time. We had a bird in the house one time. We had a snake one time. That was just a snake they found. It was towards the end, but they found a snake that got hurt, and I don't know if my brother brought it or whoever brought it. And then that was funny, because they would feed it mice, and so I got to see that a couple times. It's like a gardener snake. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I mean, it was a cool childhood. We had, all my family was always there, and it was cool. There was a lot of partying too, so we had that happening as well. So it was kind of typical Chicano, Moraza party house. I don't know, not really party house. It was family house, but it was, I don't know, I have to write a story about it one day. So the reason I'm saying this is just to kind of update on the childhood, family life. So I grew up on oldies, Mexican music too when the family gatherings, but a lot of oldies, a lot of Motown. And then I learned about rock and roll through my brother and his friends. So going to school, I was a little chubby kid. I was a little fat kid. So I got chunkier as years went on. So I was like so we went to San Martin. So when I started school, it was in San Martin, Gwin, and started a little late in kindergarten. I didn't go to preschool, and so I was born February 18th, 77. So it was I don't know, early 80s, and I remember being shy. My grandparents, when they would speak to me, and my mom's side, she would always be very start translating. My grandfather on my mom's side was Jose. He was very kind, very nice older man. He had gray beard. I remember him always hugging and kissing, like, "Hey, Miola," and then be his beard would be scratchy, oh. But he was super nice, super kind, and he'd always get upset though, because I didn't speak Spanish, and my mom would be interpreting, and then he'd be like, "Hey, why can't you speak Spanish?" And I kind of would understand him, but then then she would start talking, and then they would talk to each other, and then I was just like, okay. So that happened, but my grandma was very stern. She was kind. She would just look and be like, I had a cousin Pancho, which was my cousin, but she raised him, and so he was my age, and so every time I go there, me and him would hang out and whatever, and go play in the backyard or whatever, and but she'd always be like, she wasn't as nurturing as my other grandparents, but she was smart. She was really, I don't know, there was so many of us, it was just like, and I think my mom was a pretty rebellious kid, so she'd be like, one of the spoiled kid of my rebellious kid. But she knew I was a nice kid too, so she was cool with me. So let's see what else. Later in life, she got more nice, and she was actually, I would try to speak broken Spanish, after college years, and she was very understanding that at least I was trying, and she would speak English to me, so it was cool towards the end of that relationship. Like, she was very, very kind. We had a few moments of just talking to each other and stuff like that. She knew I loved her. So yeah, growing up in San Martin, going to school, it was a little different because all my family in Gilroy, it was a lot of Mexicans, so it was like all about Mexican stuff. I remember Cinco de Mayo and all that stuff over there, and so it was a good childhood. Christmas Hill Park was cool. We always had good holidays, Easter, and going to the Rock, and so it was a lot of family time, going to the beach. I remember, everyone was partying, and then we would go, ask the older people for money if they're playing cards or something and drinking already. So I'd be like, yo, go play some video games, can we get some dollar bills? And they'd throw down 5 here, 5 there, 10 there. And so we had a good time going to 7-Eleven or whatever. And then, they'd start dancing at the end of the night, and we're all little kids running around. So it was a good childhood. Always like 3, 4, 5 different age groups, groups of 3, 4, 5, 10, playing games outside, whatever, like hide and seek or whatever. We had a good time. And then let's see what else. Yeah. They'd even, like, sometimes when my older cousin would babysit in 10th Street and the Martinez side, like we'd have like 3 or 4 different age groups, so we'd all like pair up and we'd get our trainers on each side, and they'd like have us fight each other and like see who wins, have little bouts. So that was fun too. So I was always kind of like the young one. And then, so in San Martin, it was a little different because a lot of Mexicans in my neighborhood. So my neighborhood was like, small. In our backyard was a lot of strawberry fields. So we always had, and food. There was like cherry trees, and it was a cool place to live growing up. There's a railroad track right behind our house, so we always heard the train. So every night or every day, I remember sleeping and then hearing the train, and then our house would rumble, and then it would pass by. So that was everyday life. So we lived there till I was 13. But going to the school, it was half white, half Mexican, kinda. So there was a lot of white folks. So growing up in kindergarten, I was shy. My brother was in 3rd grade, so he'd visit like the fence and be like, hey, we were buddies at the time. So, but the teacher, they wouldn't let us talk or whatever. So they're like, hey, get out of here. So to him, so I was kind of by myself over there. So growing up in kindergarten, I met people, saw different kinds of people. So I kind of just mixed in. I was like, hey, I only speak English, but I would draw the Mexican flag all the time, and learn what hand dominant with my right hand. I would learn how to punch. So I was like, okay, so little stuff you learn in kindergarten, nap time or whatever. So me and this girl used to always lay our blanket next to each other during nap time. And I remember Halloween, I ripped my costume in the butt, so it was like I had to, like, I was crying or something because my costume was ripped and I was embarrassed. And then this one kid had like this really cool costume that his parents made him that was like, you know, not store-bought. It was like, so it was kind of like, you know, growing up with different people. I remember a friend I ended up hanging out in 3rd grade. We knew each other there, here and there. I remember making fun of this one girl for farting. I think I farted, and then I was like, she was super Mexican, like straight, like paisale girl. She was cool. She was tough. She was tougher than everybody in the school or in our classroom. But I remember one time I blamed her for that. So I felt bad for that. But I remember peeing in class. I was trying to take a test, and I don't know, the teacher said something. And so for the first time in 1st grade, like, I didn't get up during the whole test. I didn't know how to ask or whatever to get up. And so Mrs. Roberto, and then Leonard, I forgot. So I sat there and I couldn't hold it, and I peed, and then I got up, and then I told my teacher or something, and then they were asking, and they took me out of class, and I started crying. I was like, ooh. And so I don't know, stuff like that, you know, childhood stuff. And then I remember 3rd grade. So the Mexican kids, the ones that only speak Spanish, they were. I remember walking 1st grade and like through the playground, and I was like, I never really knew how to ask how to play with other people. I don't know what it was. And so I would be like, so I was kind of just walking there by myself, and I remember this one, oh yeah, so this couple kids were like a group of 3rd graders snuck up on me, and one grabbed me in a headlock, or you know, like in a, well, I don't know, it's called full Nelson or whatever. And then the 3 or 4 other ones were like, yo, and they were speaking Spanish to me, so I didn't know how to speak Spanish. So I was like, so I ended up telling my brother that, you know, they were, and it was weird because it was kind of hostile, but not really. They were just checking me out, but I was kind of like, what the hell? So I told my brother, and he was in 4th grade at the time, so he had to cross the street from the older kids' classrooms to my school, the other side. And then he saw, before school started, one morning he just showed up, and he was like, hey, who's those kids? And I was like, and I looked, and they were standing right there, and they looked at me, and I looked at them, and I was like, those guys over there. And then he looked at them, and they looked, and they were like, oh, and then they ran off. So I don't know, they probably wanted me to be in their gang or little buddy group, but so my brother scared them off or whatever. But so I was kind of like, had mixed friends and stuff, like. And then in 3rd grade, I remember this one kid, Eddie Spaghetti, and this other girl, Jill Hill. And so it was like, it was a small enough school, so everybody kind of got along or whatever. There was no real racial divide other than language. My parents used to always buy us food, so I would always like get donuts and Doritos from the corner store, Avila's Market. And so we had credit, so we'd always get stuff, and then I'd bring it to the school in the morning. And then I was one of those kids, I was just a big, dorky, nice kid that would like give everyone my food. So it was just like a normal childhood, but I didn't really have buddies. And then, well, just people here and there. I remember one kid, we used to play role-playing games. They were the nerds, but they were cool because they were the smart kids or whatever. So I kind of gravitated towards that group. And then, because I guess, I don't know if I was collecting comic books at the time, but we always had toys and watching cartoons, and so I was kind of a nerd already. And then, and plus I had my family, so I don't know, it was kind of weird. I don't know, I guess I was shy. But so 3rd grade, things started changing and stuff. I met a friend. He was another Mexican kid, but he was kind of only spoke English too. And then But he hung out with the white kids. They were like all the popular kids. They ended up being the popular kids. So I got to meet them in 3rd grade. And that's when the boys and girls started like chasing each other and all that stuff. So I had these girls that liked me, and then so we started writing letters. And so 3rd grade and then 4th grade, it carried on to 6th grade, where I started hanging out with these people and became friends. And then so we'd go to each other's birthday parties and all that stuff like that. So that was, and then the divide started happening. I remember a lot of stuff happened. I mean, I don't know, I can't go into it all. As far as I remember playing soccer, and then some, you know, what team you're going to be on, the Mexican team. Everybody's Mexican on one side, and the other side, the mixed breeds, the white kids and the mixed breeds. And so I was just kind of like, would join the mixed breed, but I was always, there was some mixture there, who's popular, who's not, kind of thing. So it was pretty innocent as far as any of that. Everyone was kind of buddies at that school. There was no, I think Gilroy was a little tougher. It was more institutionalized and more bigger classes and all that stuff. So I was kind of blessed to go to San Martin. Man, I hope this turns out because the wind's hitting it. So what else? So then I had to move to Oroville. So Oroville was different because, man, I'm getting tired already. So Oroville was different because, okay, I'm gonna fast forward all this stuff. So Oroville, I moved to Oroville, 13. You know what, I'm just gonna leave it here because, so that was my life in Gilroy. I'll make another one about Oroville later. Okay, peace.